Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy the Kryptonian Saiyan here, bringing you a review for One Piece chapter 61. Before I go into this chapter, man, so I'm reading, and on the cover, or right before the cover page, it shows the character rankings, right, for the popularity poll. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm expecting Luffy to be like the #1 character. You know, some of you guys know and have inboxed me and kind of told me like, hey, you're not too big on Luffy, but Luffy has his moments. Just keep reading. I'm not gonna drop One Piece because I don't particularly care for the main character. I have other characters I enjoy. I enjoy the story. Just want to get that out of here now, but just to kind of see the rankings, and it's a small sample size. It's only 36,000, but. You got Luffy, you got Zoro, you got, Shanks, Sanji, which is crazy. He just got introduced. Nami, and you got Usopp all the way at 8, man. Like, I thought it was interesting that Kuina and Captain Kuro made the top 10, too. But, kind of looking at that, man, like, I noticed something. Like, Luffy's got that cut on the right side of his face. And Shanks has, 2 cuts on the left side of his face. But if you'll look, Luffy has 2 right around. I don't know. I'm just looking at that, like, because when you look at it, it's almost like Luffy has 3 cuts. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. But, does that symbolize, because they have similar mannerisms, does that symbolize that Luffy's one day going to surpass Shanks because he's got 1 extra scar? Let's say I might be thinking too much into this. But that's just, kind of my thought on it. So jumping right into this chapter, man. So the last chapter ended off with Sanji being pinned down, right? And I said that if Gin wanted to, he could have crushed his throat. Well, he's in that same situation. All of Don Krieg's pirates are cheering, like they're really getting into it, right? And Sanji does something rather clever. He actually blows his cigarette smoke into Gin's face. And I don't know how many of you guys have been around smokers. I can't stand the smell of smoke. And so when I smell it, I have a reaction to it. I can cover it up out of respect for, people that I'm with who don't know that I don't care for cigarette smoke. And then once they finish, I'll tell them, look, man, that's the last cigarette you smoke around me. But with him, it gets in Gin's face and you can tell it makes his eyes water. I thought that was really clever. And Sanji immediately takes advantage of the situation because he manages to do this awesome handstand, right, and kind of flip up. And what ends up happening is he ends up attacking Gin. And once again, he's using his legs, and you can tell from, Gin's expression that it's pretty damn tough. But Gin thought this was interesting, to be able to have that much control over your body, to wield around that I guess you could call it a mace or nunchucks with, like, weighted balls on the ends, whatever that is. Like, he's wielding it and knocks Sanji's ass in the upper body. It almost looks like he got him in the face, but it's a little higher. And I thought that was pretty damn cool that he had that much control over his body, even though he's got his head snapped back and he's falling backwards, to have enough control to land that blow. So I was reading that and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a really good fight, because Sanji's taking a beating from Pearl. But it looks like Gin really is like the battle commander of this armada. And even though Sanji's taunting him, trying to get inside of his head, saying, if you're really the battle commander, then that doesn't say much. Like, Sanji's thinking in his internal monologue, this guy's pretty tough. And the cooks are under the assumption that if Sanji didn't take as many blows, that he might have been able to finish Gin off. I'm not too sure, because based on what we've seen from Sanji and what we're seeing from Gin, while Sanji is clever, I don't think that if they fought, right off the jump, being serious, that Sanji would be able to make up for the difference. Like, because I'm just looking at it, and while we have not seen as much, we haven't seen the destructive feat that we saw with Sanji, where he kicked that damn vessel out the air. So we hadn't seen that, but based on how Gin's moving, even if he lacks the power, if he's got the control and the coordination, you can easily close the gap. And at that point, it comes down to luck and battle experience. And speaking of battle experience, I thought it was really interesting that Luffy is showing that he's a greenhorn when it comes to battle, because he is trying to, catch Don Krieg off guard, which is what you do when you're fighting, like in these cases. But at the same time, like when you're going against somebody that experienced, what you see is not really what you see. Like, because when you're looking at this, Don Krieg looks like he's watching the fight, and Luffy is like, hey, I can catch his ass off guard, and he's going. But when you have a guy like Don Krieg who can fire projectiles, a head-on attack is not the best way to try and approach him. You've got to kind of maneuver from the back before he can turn around and use, fire that cannon, or in this case, the stakes at him. Because unless Luffy demonstrates a higher level of speed than what he's been able to do, there's no way a head-on attack is going to work. And I feel like a more experienced fighter would have been able to do that. And I think Don Krieg, because he sees the inexperience in Luffy, he's not taking him as seriously, because he's still taunting him. He's calling him monkey boy, anchor, all other stuff. And there's this, very small exchange where Luffy is saying this monkey's going to scratch you up. And I get it. It's a play on his name. So I appreciate that. When I read it, I laughed a little bit. But at the same time, like, I think that's going to be Don Krieg's downfall, because the other two people that fought Luffy, they at least respected him enough. And what I mean by that is, once Kuro saw that Luffy had the devil fruit, he took him seriously. Even then, like, there was a little bit of arrogance there, but he still took him seriously enough to use some of his, bigger attacks. You see what I'm saying? And when you look at Buggy was fighting with the, chop chop and everything, and just the fact that Buggy was using his devil fruit abilities, and because he was so enraged because Luffy had the connection to Shanks, he was taking him seriously. In this case, Don Krieg has that level of arrogance. I think that's going to be his downfall, which is interesting to me, because you would think that if he went to the Grand Line and got his ass handed to him like he did, he would be more humble than he is. So it really just goes to show you that for some of us, even when we fall, our fall from grace, the initial fall from grace, it's not going to be the last time you fall on your ass. Because if you're not humble, the next time you fall, you're going to fall even further. So I thought that was pretty cool just to kind of see that. But the chapter ends off with what I call almost an unexpected plot twist. Like, because you kind of see it when the fight's going on, just the changes in Gin's face, like right here. His eyes are blacked out, which means like he's struggling, or you could say he's kind of succumbing to darkness. But in this case, I'm looking at it, and you've got the little dot 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 expression, and the way part of his face is shaded in dark, and there's a small part in light. It's almost like you could say, because again, when you see stuff from the right, like, again, let me focus in. When you see stuff from the right, that means that that's your immediate, future coming in, and the left is, the past. And right here, when you look at it, the right part of his face isn't shaded in, so you could kind of say that, okay, like his morals are kind of creeping in. And Sanji, as you can tell from the right hand panel, I mean, he does know he's in for some shit. But right here, right after he gets the upper hand on Sanji, he's crying. He's crying, and again, like the right side of his face, we don't really see it, but we see the tears clearly on the left side. And then when you go into the next page, he's got the flashbacks. So I thought that was really nice and really appropriate for Oda to kind of work things in that way, and for Gin to be so overcome with emotion from Sanji's weakness, well, not weakness, kindness, that it ends up creating a weakness inside of himself, according to Don Krieg. Don Krieg doesn't say this, but from what he's telling him, I dare you to go any further, that having compassion for your enemies is a weakness. And in this case, Sanji has been able to break through that armor on Gin and kind of appeal to him as a person. And just from a deeper angle, whenever you're a writer and you're writing these stories, you should always be trying to get this one thing. It doesn't matter if you're writing a story about dragons, right? And there's no human beings in it. You still should be writing with the approach of saying, what does it mean to be human? What am I trying to say about what does it mean to be human? How we operate. You know, what is my take on this? What am I trying to get through to the reader? And right here, it goes back to something that my mom used to tell me. The people you see on the way up are the same people you see on the way down. And that means you treat everybody with respect regardless. And Sanji's backstory explains why he fed him. But at the same time, I think Sanji would have fed him anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, because as a child, he was throwing away food. But at the same time, I think that as you mature, you know, at some point your morals kick in. And because of what Sanji's been through and because of what he would have went through if he would have stayed on the ship, I think he still would have learned that same appreciation for food, especially if he's cooking. So just seeing that and how that affected Gin, that was really nice. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, man. Because, you know, just again, just looking at that, like the amount of emotion that Gin is under. And right here, and that's what I mean, when you pay attention from left to right, if you look here, now you see the right side. And he's saying that was the first time in my life that anybody was ever so kind to me. I can't kill this man. Because he says I can't kill him, is present tense. And then the other thing about it is that's the first time he acknowledges what Sanji did for him. He thanked him before, but there was a double meaning behind it. In this case, it's a genuine thank you. Like, this was a really nice chapter to read, man. So my chapter question for you guys is, what did you guys think about Sanji's not Sanji, what you guys think about Gin's reaction to Sanji's, you know, feeding him? Like the fact that it just hit him, it's almost like a delayed effect. If you guys have seen my Boruto review, you'll know that I was kind of impressed with the fact that, spoiler, but Boruto's Rasengan vanishes, and when it vanishes, you don't see it, but it's a delayed effect, and it hits you with the same amount of force that a wind style Rasengan would hit you with. So that's kind of how I looked at it. But those are just my thoughts, guys. If you liked anything I had to say, as always, comment, rate, subscribe, and share. I greatly appreciate it. That's it. Thanks for watching.